Why the hell are you saying she's a threat? Because she can draw other crazy people into her crowd? At this point, if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to run for president in 4 years, I'm going to run for president in 4 years.
Like New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could be gearing up to be the new face of the Democratic Party. The self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist has been drawing tens of thousands to her rallies, pretty big crowds. She's breaking her own fundraising records, and she's surging in polls among Democrats. Now, some are wondering if her latest post is a, quote, soft launch for a presidential run in 2028.
To be welcomed here in this state, all of us together, seeing our common cause, this is what this country is all about. Don't let them trick us into thinking we are enemies. Don't let them trick us into thinking we can be separated into rural and urban, black and white and Latino. We are one. And from the waitress who is now speaking to you today from this podium, I can tell you, impossible is nothing. Miracles start with mustard seeds. And that is what each and every one of you represent today.
Kennedy, that looks like a launch to me. And let me start with just her role in the Democratic Party. So aside from her general approvals in the population, 61%, according to YouGov, of Democrats view her favorably. This means she has the highest favorability of any Democrat who has not run for president. A Yale University survey found her at number 2 in a hypothetical matchup in a Democratic primary. So she's no one to scoff at. She's certainly someone who could potentially win a nomination.
Yes, so here's what happened. The 4 years of the Biden administration created a power vacuum because you had a president who wasn't really leading. You also had an administration that didn't have very solid ideas for the Democrat Party. People felt like the party had moved away from them and was being run by old snobs. So when that power vacuum was created, they didn't come up with great ideas in order to defeat Trump and look into the future, but the socialists have been doing that the entire time. So their agenda is based on statism, making government bigger, more oppressive, but also populism. And that's where Democrats ceded the most support to the Republican Party, to President Trump, and to Vice President Vance. So AOC has put herself in the position to fill up that vacuum, and she's doing that with name recognition, social media. But Tomi Lahren made the best point. I think it was about a week ago, and I'm going to let her go off on this because it changed my mind about AOC, because I was like, well, maybe she is a big threat. She's certainly a big threat to economic freedom, but Tomi sort of...
She is not a threat. Why the hell are you saying she's a threat? Because she can draw other crazy people into her crowd? At this point, if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to run for president in 4 years, I'm going to run for president in 4 years. Anybody in this country now has the opportunity to run for president. If we're having people with horrible policies and the ideology that she believes in, it's not going to work for the majority of the American people in this country. She may have a couple hundred people at her rallies, but that's not going to take the entire country. Especially the number one thing that all citizens need to look at when looking at candidates to elect them to be our president. They need to see where they come from, specifically if they're already in a political position, such as AOC, how she is running her district, how she is running her city, her state. If there is nothing that has changed and the crime is up, homeless is going out of hand, I mean, these are the things you got to look at. Because if she can't solve minor problems within her own district, what makes you think she's going to solve any type of problems for this country? And also being able to sit down and negotiate with world leaders. I don't see that in AOC at all.
Have laid it all out why she could face such a challenge if she's actually faced with other presidential candidates.
Well, you teed Tommy up perfectly to make that case.
Yeah, so my question last week, and I have the same question, is can we imagine AOC in a debate situation? And I'm not even talking about a presidential debate between a Republican candidate and AOC. I'm talking about a primary. I'm talking about, can she hold her own when actually challenged about policy positions? Even what are her own policy positions? And if you look at her policy positions, if she were to go on stage and talk about those, she might still be able to get a crowd. But could she even get Democrats on her side? Because Democrats are saying, we want you to moderate. And she is the most extreme. The Green New Deal, universal health care, wide open borders, lawlessness, cashless bail, those are all AOC policy positions that she's never actually articulated well, by the way. You can go on stage and talk about a mustard seed, and you can talk about, we don't separate between this. That sounds great if you are a rock star or a motivational speaker. Her policy positions are not popular within her own party. I don't even think she could unseat Chuck Schumer. And I certainly don't think she could be the Democrat nominee. We got Joe Biden in 2020 because he was the most moderate on that stage, not because he was some shining star. So the Democrat Party would be well to understand that. Influencer culture does not translate to a general election.
You know, Trace, I think you need two things to win the presidency in this day and age. Number one, you need a brand. Trump had a brand, a hugely popular MAGA brand. Obama had a brand. AOC has a brand. She has 35 million followers. She comes across very authentic, despite the first-class seats and the private flights she's taking. But the issues are the problem. And Peter Hamby points out her net favorability, 6 points underwater, 18 points behind Bernie Sanders. Plenty of other polls show that. And in fact, favorables with the general population behind Trump, Elon Musk, and J.D. Vance.
And the far left of the party is getting away from that. They're saying, listen, we don't have to worry about policy issues, right? You had Jasmine Crockett coming on yesterday saying, listen, we shouldn't have to worry about policy. It's all about the vibe. You're back to the vibe. If you look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the answer to Tommy's question is no. She couldn't win a debate. You look at her on CNN. She doesn't interview well. She's great on social media. I mean, she's really compelling. She's got a gazillion followers, and that's her niche. That's where she really excels. But you put her on live television, you put her in a debate, she's not going to do well. She has kind of worked on her delivery. You know, she's got this affectation, just like Kamala Harris does, where she speaks in front of people and she changes the tone of her voice, changes the accent of her voice. So she's trying to figure out where she's going to go. But until she figures out how to combat and be really good at debates and really good on policy, she's nothing but a social media candidate.
And that is exactly how Kamala Harris was. And look how it turned out for her. It didn't turn out too good. She lost. She got drunk and lost. I don't see AOC as a contender at all in the Democratic Party. Actually being on stage and being able to debate a Republican, I just do not see that. They said she had 38 million followers. How about we filter that out and get, I want to know how many followers that are over 18 years of age to actually see how many followers she actually has. They showed a little clip of her in the background, showed a lot of young girls. I feel like the way she is, she's appealing to this new TikTok era of kids that are on there and they see her as thinking that she's an inspiration because she's a woman and she's saying a lot of good things. This is what the Democrats are known for. They say a lot of shit and do no action, which is why every single Democrat, well, not every single, but a majority of Democratic-run cities, states are in shitholes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Till next time, peace out, everybody.